Hi, everybody. So I guess Dewayne just told on us. We were talking about menopause and girl things. So
I was not involved.
was.
we promised tonight not to ask Dewayne any questions about menopause. So
you can ask them. I
there,
don't have
Dewayne.
answers.
So
Hi, everybody.
Your menopause.
Mike.
So,
Menopause.
so most of you know and are familiar with Duane and Heather Hail. They were the pioneers of the jewelry style auctions that we do, and they kind of got the ball rolling and started it. They did resellers mostly, I think, to start with, and then the jewelry community kind of jumped on the bandwagon. Is that correct? So they did a little bit of everybody, and they were very successful at it, and they did it religiously, dedicated to it for 3 years, and they really, really helped a lot of us resellers get a boost and start getting, buyers in and stuff. So they were very helpful for me and a lot of the rest of us. I think if it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't have as successful of auctions as we have now. So as you guys already know, Roberta, and Miss Trixie Monroe is here. So I'm going to ask Duane and Heather a few questions myself first, and then I'm going to open it up to the chat. So if you have a question or want something clarified, just capitalize it in the chat. But first, I'm going to click on Duane and Heather. I don't know if I can eliminate the rest of us and put you two up. Can I do that? Or does it have to be one or nothing?
I think you can only do one at a time. So put up the eye candy. I'll be on the site.
The eye candy. Just kidding. This is the eye candy. I'll let you guys introduce yourself. As a matter of fact, I think Robert had a question about that eye candy if he's in. So we'll
That's right. He
have
sure
him ask
did.
a question when he shows up.
Oh,
Go ahead,
my.
Heather, and introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and how you ended up here.
Heather Hail, married to Duane. Been married for 22 and a half years. And I have to point out that none of us had our YouTube volume on or anything else playing when we started this. We did good. Because, it's usually that someone's bound to have something with volume to interrupt the show. So I'm just, I'm proud of us.
She's remembering flashing back when she was doing the auction. So.
And okay, so it was actually 2.5 years we did it for, because Duane and Chris had started in the spring and we ended in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but now
it ended at the end of the year.
Yeah, but now it's been 3 years since it started, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So when Duane first started, it was just Chris and I are going to try this. I'm like, whatever. I wasn't even home. And then I, said I watched a little bit, and then I was like, taking notes is kind of stressful for the person who's trying to focus on selling, and Duane trying to focus on the auctioning, and he was working on his craft. So I had said that, I would take notes. And then I was listening to Duane do the intro. I'm like, you're killing me. I'm more comfortable with talking in front of people than Duane is. So I'm like, I can do a better job. And I did my notes. I still have them somewhere. I kept them. And if anybody knows that I would look above the camera, because for all that time I had my notes posted so that I made sure to cover all the bases. And then it changed up over the months because the show, I always said that no one was in the driver's seat. Duane was doing his best to get the sales going the right way, but that boat was on a course of its own. It took on many phases over the months, and so we would either adapt accordingly, or there would be things that we saw that had to be changed, and people didn't always like that, but that's business.
I think it definitely evolved even in the time that I started watching. I think I caught about the last year of you guys doing your auctions. So, and like I said, you were very instrumental in helping me to get started with selling. And, you know, I had a couple of really nice, successful auctions with you guys. But yeah, definitely appreciate what you did for the community for sure.
And Duane will tell you about the start, how that wasn't even the plan.
Very true.
Yeah, it just evolved.
Well, that's actually, yeah, one of my questions I was going to ask basically was how did you get started? And you are answering that question for me now. So that's really good. Any comments on that, Dewayne? What
Well, honestly, the way it really started is somebody was sent a couple of things to Chris Carone because she didn't want to sell them. I think they were hats. And so she sent her hats to Chris. And somebody mentioned, well, I would have paid for those hats. And so we kind of got an idea that, there are people out there that have a glut of a specific item that they don't want to sell. Whether you bought a storage unit and ended up with a bunch of mugs or caps or clothes, everybody has their own things that they like to sell. And I even had some things that I ended up with. It's like, I don't want to list these. I don't want to sell these. So, but I knew that somebody did, that somebody liked specific things. So we decided, well, why don't we just try and auction it? We'll put it up there and see if it's interesting for people to, bid on these hats that I don't want or whatever. And it started out really, really rough. I mean, we had no idea what we were doing. I'm not an auctioneer by trade or anything like that. We just decided to try it out, and it really kind of took off from there. And like Heather said, it changed so much. Like probably the first 6 months, it just changed, heads over tails. It was amazing how much, because we had to, you start out with no rules, of course, because you don't know what you're going to need. And then as things happen, then you're like, okay, I got to put that rule in place. Okay, I got to put that rule in place because, people, whether they're not trying to buck the system, but there's problems. So that's where we got to where we had to have people register to vote, right? Yeah. Register to vote, people, register to bid because, we were getting people that were bidding and we're like, I have no idea how to get a hold of this person. Okay, you won, but other than YouTube, I don't know anything about you. So that's when we started taking, people's registrations, which really was just letting us know who you were so we could get a hold of you to let you know that you won. So
the system we still use today, all of us. So
yeah, I can't think of another way to do it, honestly.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Heather.
When I would encourage people to communicate, I was like, this is for me, so that Duane isn't stressed out being the middleman. So you two communicate to make my life easier.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, and it is much easier when you have people's information up front and you don't have to go searching for it. So we've adapted that with MSP, Steals and Deals. We've adapted that where Kathy gets all that information together like you guys did and sends it in a spreadsheet. So it makes our lives easier, and it also makes the seller's life a whole lot easier and get those invoices out much quicker. So definitely a good system you guys started. So what is your most memorable moment on an MSP auction?
Ooh, most memorable moment. I know it's hard to narrow it down because, like I said, it changed so much. Like the first time that somebody made over $1,000, that was huge. We're like, oh my gosh, somebody made $1,000 in less than an hour or 2 hours. We were so excited for them. And I believe it was Chad Pagel, Golden Finger Picker. I think he was the first one to go over $1,000. And we just thought that was amazing. That couldn't get any better than that. But then, we had some really cool benefit auctions, like the one for Tanya. That one, it really showed me how one person can affect a big group of people. That Tanya had been, instrumental in a lot of people's lives. She'd been out there, and all these people came together for her, and I believe we made $7,000 on that auction.
Nice. Yeah, I heard it was a big, large sum. Yeah.
But everybody loved Tanya, and it was really cool to see how everybody could get together and show that. So I think that was probably one of my most memorable things, was doing that benefit auction.
Yeah, in case you all don't know, Tanya's channel is Thrifty Treasures, and she is quite skilled and has a lot of information. So if you don't watch her, I highly recommend that you do. She is a pro, and she is really good at what she does. But they had a benefit for her because of kidney failure, right?
Liver.
Yeah, liver failure. Yeah, she had to have a liver transplant, I believe. So
what happened is she had a liver transplant like 20 years ago.
Yes, years ago.
She was starting to reject.
Mm.
And so they were having, she was in a hospital and on all kinds of medicines, and it was just, it was hard. So they were struggling with the, the financials of having all these medical bills. So, and she didn't even ask for it. It was a couple of other people, Lonnie and John, and a couple of people got together and said, hey, let's do this for and let the proceeds go to help her, because she's having such a rough time medically.
Yeah, she's a really, really sweet lady. So I do highly recommend her channel. Okay, so that was your most memorable moment. Heather, what about you? Do you have a most memorable moment?
When an auction was done for us, we were completely surprised. Monica and Barb did it. And we had no idea. And it was really nice. We were able to use that money for a few different things. And just the kindness and, how thoughtful it was. So yeah, I was, in tears by the end of the night, because it just the kind act. So we really, really appreciated that. Oh my gosh, there was a lot of emotional moments over the months of, like reasons why people were doing it. Remember when we did the one for Chad's
grandson? Yeah.
Yeah, that one was a bit emotional. So moments when we really felt that we were connecting with people and doing just a little something to help them. There was more than one occasion when someone would get a hold of Duane and be like, hey, I'm in a jam. I need to get some money. Can I have stuff I can sell? And Duane would do some rearranging of the schedule, and we'd make that happen. And that felt good to know that we were helping people. But then people helped us in return. So
yeah, he came down.
That's what it's all about.
Too.
Yeah. It was the connection was by far the most memorable. And then I would say after that is how much we learned. Oh my gosh, we learned stuff about stuff that never even
thought about. I like jewelry. I hate jewelry.
Wayne learned that the jewelry is the devil.
And
it is. It's the devil.
But Duane being
Duane, so much, it's hard not to learn.
Yeah, see, and Duane just absorbs knowledge, so he can tell you all about jewelry. And but that was really great. So meeting people, connecting with people, helping to improve someone's life at that moment, and the things that we learned about just random stuff, and as well as just people just sharing who they were. You learn through that, and getting to know new people.
So do you remember what was the highest grossing auction, other than the benefit auctions, just a seller selling for himself? What was the highest amount of money that a seller paid?
I actually have that data, but I don't have it handy. I can look back, and figured out, but I believe it, and I can't even tell you who it was, but I know it was between $2,500 and $3,000.
Nice, and just a
I
couple
don't
of
remember who it was.
Very nice.
That's amazing. So do you remember what was the highest selling single item that you ever
that
sold?
one I do remember.
Let me.
That one I do remember. It was a piece. It was a video game lot. It went for $775, I believe, is what the final was.
Wow, nice.
$775, and it was Barry Tubwell had it, and he sold it to Silver Hair Stacker.
Gotcha. Yeah, Sandy just said it was Barry. So Sandy, you got a great memory.
Well,
Okay.
and I think that's because she was always trying to beat him with one of her, and she got close a couple of times. So, but yeah, that was one of her goals, is because she, made that beautiful jewelry, and a couple of them got up there pretty close, $500-$600 range. But yeah, I think she was always chasing that last little bit that Barry had.
Trying to beat that. So, what was your favorite item ever sold? Something you just went, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And if you have one, Heather, too.
This was one of the hardest questions you put out, because we, like you said, we did it for 2.5 years. There were so many cool things, and to narrow it down to just one for me, I can't. I just, there was a couple of quite a few things that were just amazing to me that they were out there. And like Heather was saying, you learn so much, because there were things that a lot of sellers would bring that I would never find. I would never even see these kind of things.
So can you think of anything that like appealed to you? Like you just went, oh my God, this is so cool.
No, I can't think of it.
What about you? You have anything that comes to mind, Heather?
Well, first, Duane, you don't have your on-air sign turned on. Let's see. I remembered. Oh, there were two things that John Cincinnati Picker had that I thought were just really cool. One was a wine decanter that was older, and it was just really pretty. He picked it up from a yard sale. That's that's what he would do. He'd go to the yard sales that morning and find amazing stuff and bring them to the show. So that was really, really pretty. And then he also had a scarf that was in a frame, and the artist who designed the pattern for the scarf was the same artist who had done the album cover for the Beatles for their Sgt. Pepper album. And so that was really cool.
That is a memorable item, yes.
And then, of course, if there were dolls, which I did receive dolls. The one right behind me there's Duane Jr. And so I liked seeing that. Like I said, we learned things about jewelry. But yeah, I think a lot of it was just when we'd see something, we're like, what the heck was that? John Johnson was good at that one too, at bringing things and Nikki Bauer.
And that one that Wani brought a piece of jail art. It was from the jail in Louisiana. That once a year, the inmates got together and were allowed to create something and then sell it off. They had I don't know if it was an auction or what. And he ended up with this piece of prison art, and it was amazing. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but it was pretty interesting. And again, one of those like, what, how, where, what?
So that leads to my next question. What was the weirdest, strangest thing that you ever sold on an auction?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this. The first couple auctions, one of the ones that I remember the most is Chris Carone sold a egg timer that was shaped like a chicken. And he's told everybody that you can go down to Walmart and get this for $3. And it sold for $12. But it was what? I mean, you know, an egg timer shaped like a chicken, and everybody was going crazy about the timer. So
That's funny. So,
but yeah, back then we didn't know what the heck to sell.
So your first auction, how much did you make at your first auction? Do you remember that? Was it? I remember you said
I made $60.
$60, isn't that
and
amazing?
I thought that was the coolest ever. I'm like, I just sold a bunch of junk that has been sitting around my house for $60 in an hour or 2 hours. I don't even remember.
Wow, very cool.
But I was so excited. I was like, man, this could really be good. And then I started looking around thinking, oh, really? I don't have anything to sell. So maybe I'll just, other people, get a hold of other people. Because after the first or second, me and Chris did 2 of our own stuff. And then we're like I said, we were like, oh, we don't have enough stuff. We need to see if somebody else wants to do this. Somebody that has a bunch of stuff, maybe they can come on and do it and sell some of the stuff off. So
when people were getting a hold of you as well.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And so it was like, well, why not try it? Nothing to lose. So
right. Yeah. Because everything's coming for us.
When you got a basement or garage or, storage unit full of stuff that you're never going to do anything with.
Miss Sandy says, ask Duane about the Black Friday auction.
Oh, that had to be, I think that was a really bad one. In fact, Heather, I think, said we're not going to do that next year. The day before Thanksgiving, or the day after
The
Thanksgiving.
day after.
So
Yeah.
that's
I don't even remember exactly what was on it. Sandy, instead of asking, tell us.
the Black Friday auction. Yes, Sandy, tell us about the Black Friday auction. I'll paste the stream there if you want to come in and tell us about that. So that leads to my next question then, kind of what was your most cringe-worthy moment in an auction where you just went, oh my gosh, did that just happen?
There was a couple of those actually where I sat back and thought, this is off the rails, and I have no idea how to get this back. It's out there.
There were a couple of times I was laughing so hard I had tears because I knew that Duane had just lost control of the moment. And he just ended up sitting there not saying anything. I was laughing, and the person who was selling was just going on. And
yeah, there were a couple that just went crazy. If I remember, Nathan Finley, he had one where he was just, we're sitting here auctioning, and he didn't have size. He'd get up and leave and go find something and come back, and I'm just like, what am I doing here?
that was in the early.
It was just one of those weird moments that.
Yep, early days.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't know what we were doing. So
where they didn't have it all together. It's they were fishing.
I think it was that somebody had mentioned something. Hey, I want that thing on your wall behind you, or something like that. And then he's like, oh, hey, I've got this over here, and then you take off and go get that. And
But
that was really funny. So for me personally, my what I did that was most cringeworthy was Barb. She can get me laughing, and I had a little too much wine with dinner, and she got me laughing. And Duane hit the start button right when I was complaining over because my favorite is it's sparkly peach, whatever it is. Duane buys it. And so I was complaining because I had to burp. And she was laughing at me, and I was laughing. And Duane had already hit the button.
Yeah, I already hit it before she even started this. And I'm like, oh, boy.
And then I had to do my little intro. And so a little bit tipsy and having a hard time controlling my laughing, and Barb wasn't helping at all because she was still laughing all the way through. Yeah. And that's when we started telling everyone that we were bringing our best B game.
Yeah. Don't expect anything great because we're amateur.
We do that every week. We bring our best B game.
And people will be like, how come you don't charge? And we're like, Well, first of all, we wouldn't have as much participation. And second is that resellers are generous but cheap. And so we would figure we made more from people just giving us money out of things than it had we charged.
Yeah.
And then it was because if we charged, we would have to act like professionals, and we did not.
More fun not charging. I agree. I totally agree on
Yeah,
that.
because if you're not paying somebody to do something and something silly happens,
That's right.
It's okay.
You can't
Yes.
complain about the free service. Right?
yes.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Tell us about this Black Friday moment.
Yeah, let's hear about it. I'm trying to remember it.
Well, I remember that the first year you went on, you didn't think about it, I guess, and you were on the Saturday after Black Friday, and whoever was on, and I cannot remember who was on that year, made like $30. I mean,
Yeah, it was.
The least question.
right? So the next year, I get the Saturday after Black Friday, and as we're talking prior to the auction, Duane goes, "Oh, I wasn't going to have an auction this year on after Black Friday," and I'm going, "Well, it's a little too late now." I'm going, "Thanks for telling me." And then he told me the story how this gal didn't make but $30 the year before, and I'm going, "Oh, great." So,
Did you make more than $30, Sandy?
fortunately, I did. But I think the funniest was the first time that I ever did an auction on your channel.
Yeah,
That was rough.
Yeah, that was pretty close to the cringeworthy. Just not because it was Sandy, but because of all the troubles we had.
Everything that could go wrong did go wrong on that auction. She covered all the bases.
Yeah, I didn't miss a trick. So when I tell you guys about something not to do, it's the voice of experience, because it was live and in color on Duane's channel. So,
Well, no, actually, it was live in not very good color.
well, this is true. Now you can tell them about the camera.
Oh man, that was so Sandy's first auction. First of all, I didn't know her. She got a hold of me and said, "Hey, I'd like to do an auction. I used to be or I am a jeweler. I used to do a lot more, because at that time she was considered a jeweler, but she wasn't doing a lot at that time." So she's like, and I'm like, "Oh, that'd be great," because I know people are they like the jewelry, and this is awesome because people are always asking questions that nobody really, unless a jeweler, could answer. So we're excited, and then when she comes on, we're working with it. She's living in an RV trailer thing at the time, and the lighting was just horrendous. I mean, you couldn't see anything, and blurry. And I'm like, you can't sell anything if you can't see it. If you can't, And I knew this jewelry was beautiful, but we couldn't see it. So, and then her internet kicked her off a couple of times. So she switch to the phone or a tablet or something, or tried that, and then the camera died. It was technology hell.
And then one time you even got booted out. I think that was on the Black Friday, after Black Friday. I got booted out twice, and then finally you got booted out and had to start a whole new stream.
I did. That's one of the only times that I actually had to start a new feed. That's true. I forgot about that one. So Sandy brought all the troubles. She was just one of the trouble people.
The troublemakers.
She was the leader of the pack, is what she was.
Something, yeah.
Ever since then, all I can hear in my head is, if they can't see it, they won't buy it. They can't buy
Just say it.
And
that's exactly what I told her, because I knew it was pretty.
I have gone through so many cameras trying to get, people able to see the jewelry that I'm selling. And I think I'm a little better than when it started.
Oh yeah. Well, I think everybody learned from some of the things that happened on our show.
Yes, and Sandy actually was
the cameras. Everybody started getting better cameras because they realized that
makes a difference. It really does. And the one that most of us use now was kind of one that Sandy discovered, and it's one that I do recommend, and I know she does, that document camera. You really get a very nice, clear picture on that one.
Exactly. So, and I'm thinking that the prices of jewelry went up based on being able to see and how pretty they were for Sandy. Because it was hard.
Yes.
That was a rough one. Oof. There were a couple rough ones. There was actually one that I just quit, and I can't remember who it was.
I think it was someone in Florida.
Well, no, I don't remember, but they weren't a reseller. I remember that, and that's what made it so bad. It was so hard is because they weren't prepared, and I don't want to say any names because I honestly don't remember, but they weren't prepared. They didn't. Their lighting was bad. Their internet was bad. They were selling things that wasn't really marketable, But and I think it was because they weren't resellers, so they didn't quite understand how it worked. But I think that was the only one where it just got so bad that nobody could see. I mean, even the person. So it's just like, we'll see you next week. We'll try this again. So.
I know we get a lot of resellers that kind of specialize in different things, whether it be baseball cards or plushies or jewelry. What is your favorite thing to sell?
Jewelry. Yeah.
Me personally?
Jewelry.
Yeah. You personally. What is your favorite thing that you
Jewelry is the devil.
Deals?
To sell. Okay, I work in a technological type job. I fix test equipment, and test equipment sells very good. I mean, it's expensive. I sold a cable yesterday. It was a cable this long for $80.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah,
they're like 17 years old. So so I would consider myself I prefer to do hard goods and kind of more specialized in test equipment because that's where a lot of money is. But I mean, I'll sell anything. I sell clothing. There are a few things I don't like to sell. I mean, I don't like to sell women's clothing at all, except women's jeans. Women's jeans, but women's clothing. Y'all are just being picky.
Come on, Duane. Rose quartz.
I would sell that. In a heartbeat, I'd sell that. It would sell.
I
and
know.
You told me I blind bid $10 on that damn thing, and I never got it.
Do you still want it, honey?
For $10, I'll take it.
I heard that. I know that you always joke about jewelry being the devil, but it seems to me from a lot of the auctions that I watched that jewelry did seem to fetch some of the higher prices on some of the stuff being sold.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It did because there was a lot of. If you look at my demographics from my auctions, my highest demographic was women from age 50 up.
I told him that the cougars were after him.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my biggest demographic.
Everybody loved that little red-headed munchkin.
I found someone we haven't mentioned yet who brought a new element to the game. Excuse me. Carol, when she started doing lots and purses.
Oh, where she kept adding?
Yes.
Bargain shopping, Carol?
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yes.
So she added the adding on top of
if it gets to this point, she'll throw another thing in.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I knew she was queen of the pop-ups, but I didn't know that she did that, had started that.
Yeah, was she the one who also started doing the lots, or where did that start?
Lots kind of started early on. So,
yeah.
But Yeah, there were a lot of things that changed like that. The people were always trying something different. Like we did. What do you call them? Surprise boxes. What are those called?
Oh yeah, the mystery
box.
Mystery boxes. We
Yeah.
did mystery boxes for a while, and some of those sold for crazy money. And and that kind of fell off. And then there was, if you get to a certain point, it'll be free shipping. And we always told people or asked people to, try and do something different because, this had worked, but we wanted to see if something else would work better. So everybody, everybody came up with great ideas.
And then we went through a phase where everyone was doing benefits for something. We even did one that was a benefit because, because Chad wanted to call an auction for us, and oh my gosh, we had such a hard time finding. We never felt like we found really cool stuff. Really cool stuff doesn't exist in Utah.
Wait a minute. I can think of 3 things in Utah right now that's really cool stuff.
I'm not really cool.
Who said it was you? It was that phone that I gave you.
Oh yeah, that is pretty cool. I still have that. I haven't figured out what to do with it yet because I don't have a landline, but it is pretty cool.
But yeah, then we we chose a shelter in Salt Lake that we donated the money to.
Yeah.
So that was what our benefit was.
Okay,
So it looks like
before we switch to asking you about your storage spaces, I'm getting some questions in the chat, and one of the first ones is from Maury, and she asked, Duane, if you could give Steals and Deals crew one and only one tip, what would it be? Run.
one tip.
That ship has sailed, honey.
Don't put me in the freeway.
You can't please everyone.
That's a pretty good one. I think overall, what I think really helps is just having fun.
Yeah.
If you're having fun, it comes through, and the people have fun. The sellers, the buyers, it all worked out better if you're enjoying it. If you're sitting there going, "Oh, here's $1.
I think I lost my
tail." Feel that energy, and that energy comes through even on YouTube. So I would say just have a great time doing it. Don't take yourself too seriously.
I agree totally. That's the greatest advice, because if people aren't in a good mood, they're not going to spend their money. So they need to be in a good mood. They need to be invested in what you're doing and in you too, to trust you.
What we always told people is, come into the auction. You don't have to buy anything. Hang out, spend time talking to people, enjoy, just hang out. If you see something you like, bid on it. But it was really, the whole thing was always just supposed to be have a good time, and that's what we said when it stopped being a good time. When I stopped enjoying it, I think that's when we'll pull the plug, because if I'm not having a good time, if it's a chore to me, it's going to come through in the emotion that I put out there. So. And
we didn't wait until Duane was like drained. It was just like, it just feels like the right time to call it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you wanted to do other things. We understood.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so,
all right, what other questions?
Bargain Shopping Carol is with us, and she says, beautiful Heather and that redhead, what's his name?
And that actually was one of the things that actually helped our auction, honestly, was bringing Heather on. Because, her personality is different than mine, obviously, and having a team really worked together for us, and it brought in other people. I mean, Mike was always telling her, well, we need to see more of Heather. When is Heather going to call an auction?
He likes the ladies.
So go get this. Says, who was your youngest seller on the auction?
Whitney and John's daughter, didn't she, or no, it was No, I remember
think it was her
winning stuff, but it was Lonnie's daughter.
Yep, Lonnie. I don't know. I don't know if you consider, because Lily, Angie's daughter,
Right,
Yeah,
was
Lily.
on there too. I don't know
Oh
if
my
you want to,
gosh.
they were
Lily
kind of a tag
kicked
team.
butt. She
Yeah,
had
Lily
put
did
so
pretty
much
dang.
work.
That's
Yeah,
Roland
she did a really
granddaughter, right, Lily?
Yeah,
it's Roland
Yeah.
Picker's granddaughter. So I would
Cute,
say
cute girl.
it was probably her. We did have, like you said, we had Lonnie's daughter. I don't remember how old, but I think she was a little older than Lily. So I would say definitely Lily.
Yeah, and one of the work she put into it that we knew that she had done before, it was just very impressive. And Duane has met her in real life, and she's just a cute girl.
She gave me this
She is
right here. She gave me this picture and this bracelet.
Oh, very cool. So, Annette is asking she's asking for advice on what is a good camera to use. And I guess that depends on your purpose, but what do you think, Dewayne?
The one I have now, I'm actually probably not the best one to answer because I'm not the one showing stuff. Sandy has a really good camera because, on the auctions, I wasn't ever showing stuff. So my camera really didn't need to be that great. I do use a Logitech C930, I believe. And it's an all-around pretty decent camera. I mean, I'm using it now so you can see. But if you're going to be selling product and showing product, there's probably better ones out there.
Yeah, Sandy and I have a similar one. I do have the Logitech as my webcam that I am on now, but then I have and I don't know if I'm going to say this right. Tell me if I'm pronouncing this right, Sandy, because I think she has the same camera, and I bought mine after she bought hers because hers did such a great job that I went and got mine. But IPEVO, IPEVO?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, IPEVO, yeah, for close-ups on the jewelry, it does a really fabulous job. It focuses really well. The color's great. And are you still using that one, Sandy, or do you have a different camera now that you use?
No, I have two of those, actually. I have one on my workbench and one on my live feed, on me.
I have the 4, and I highly recommend it because I've been very happy with mine, and I know Sandy's happy with hers, and a couple of other ladies have the same camera. But I've got the 4, and I think that's what you have too, right, Sandy? But they're not expensive at all. They're pretty reasonable, even brand new. You can find them used, but they're reasonable new too.
Well,
Hey, Annette,
what I
if
found,
you send me your information, I'll send you one of these.
what
I have two that I'm obviously not using.
those cameras that Duane's talking about are for a webcam, and they have an automatic focus face recognition. So if you're holding up a piece of jewelry and your camera can see any part of your face, it's going to focus on your face and not on the piece that you're holding up. Even though you're holding it up closer to the camera, it's going to focus on your face. So that's what I figured out that I had to get away from, and that's why I went to the document camera.
And it's worked fabulous. So yeah, that was groundbreaking for her to find that. It changed my life. It was no more struggle with getting it to focus on the jewelry because, as Dewayne says, if they can't see it, you can't sell it. And your prices get better when they can see your jewelry. So it made a big, big difference. So Roberta wants to know how you decided what to start bids at. And did you always?
Oh, it was easy. We started everything at $1. And actually we told a lot of people because they wanted to, they would come in and want to change that. Like, no, if it's a good enough product, whatever you were going to start it at, it will get there. So we just started everything at $1, and some people would pull things down because of that, and I don't disgruntle them at all. I mean, that's great. Didn't want them to be unhappy or sell something that they didn't want to sell for too little.
Yeah,
so it was kind of a gamble on their part, but it just, and when it also gets things going in the chat. If you started at $25, or let's say we start something at $50, you get one bid.
Exactly.
You know, and that
Exactly.
that doesn't work. If you started at $1 and you get to play, and it goes up, and it still ends up close to $50 normally.
Yep. Yeah, I agree
That's what we
with
did.
you on that. That $1 bid thing has never scared. Now it scares a lot of people, like with our steals and deals. That does scare people, but it gets there. You know, like you said, if it's a good product, it will get there.
Right, and if it's not, then it probably wouldn't have got a bid anyway. So, and we actually, one of the questions you asked was, I can't even remember what the answer was. I mean, I remember the answer, but I don't remember the question. But we actually had a couple of times where we told the person, no, do not sell that on our auction. Because because not because of what it was, but it was way too valuable. We had somebody, I can't even remember her name right now. She's a Brighton person. Debbie. Deb's Treasures. Okay, so she brought out a watch from her husband's estate and showed it. And somebody said, you should look that up before you try and sell it. And then so somebody did. And it was a $5,000 watch.
Wow.
And I'm like, no, don't sell that on my auction.
Not going there.
No, it'll never get anywhere near that. That's not what this is for. Go do something with that. And she didn't know. It was an Omega watch.
Oh, okay.
She didn't know. And then, so it was really kind of nice that, and we actually had a couple of people in the chat saying, oh yeah, no, let her go. I'll bid on it. You know, of course.
Yeah, sure.
I can understand that.
Yeah,
But,
you never did a reserve though on anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't feel right. I didn't want anybody taken advantage of. I wanted people to come on with items that they knew kind of what they were expected to get and get close. I mean, things are going to go higher and lower, of course, but I didn't ever want to take advantage of anybody. So
well, and too, after a while, we really got a feel for what was gonna sell well and what wasn't. And one of the things that I would often be like, oh, they better not bring it, is if it was something that they had made that had been time consuming, that they put a lot into. We're like, no, don't.
we don't want to hurt any theories. I mean,
but just
somebody that does artwork, they put thousands of hours into it and it sells for $25. That's not what we were going for.
Yeah, because we're like, it's an awesome item and it's not going to get enough money on our show. So you get, find an avenue for that, because it's just not going to be here. Because we wanted to do well by people, just let them know.
Yeah, exactly. We were trying to make the most money we could for a person.
Now they're asking the hard questions. So person Maury is asking, what is the one thing that would aggravate you with a seller?
When they didn't
I know.
communicate.
See, hers is communication, mine is preparation.
Oh yeah.
If they weren't ready to do an auction, if they were just hodgepodge and this.
I think that aggravates us all, especially when they pursue you to do an auction and then they're not prepared. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, if they're not prepared and that. Or another one, we had a person where they didn't know how to ship anything, and that was really hard because after the auction, we had people, 3 weeks later trying to contact us, say, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. So I contacted the person and they're like, well, we're having trouble shipping and I don't know how to do this. And it really freaked her out. She really got, she was unhappy. Not necessarily at me. She just did not realize how much work it would be to sell 20 items and ship them.
Yeah, it is work, definitely.
A lot of people don't realize that until it's like, okay, you got 20 items to ship by tomorrow, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready for this.
Although we did have some sellers, regulars that, would be getting to the end of the show, and they're like, oh, hey, wait, I'll go grab something. And that was different. But if that was the whole show, it was very frustrating, and it moved really slow. And people then, of course, would wander away from their computer, and it really did affect sales. Efficiency, really, that having, because I always said, have a good item and be prepared. And then ship it out as soon as you can. That was the top things for for someone to make money.
And that's why as we went along, you heard her thing in the beginning, the spiel. It always changed to, try and stop problems that, hey, you're going to be able to get this out by Thursday, right? That was not, we didn't care, but we saw that was a problem before, that sometimes things wouldn't get done in a timely manner.
And we're like, if you're not able, if someone couldn't pay, like, say, till Friday, or they weren't going to be able to ship it out, on either end, it was like, tell each other.
Talk to each other.
Yeah.
Most people are like, if you can't ship it until Friday, most people are like, oh, okay, that's cool. As long as they knew. If they just didn't know, it just didn't show.
I'm the same way now. As long as I know that you are still interested, then I will save it for you. Just communicate with me, and I think most of us are the same way. And let's see, one more question from Anna. This one might be hard to answer, but with no names, is there someone you would not have had a second time?
Yeah.
Yes. That wasn't hard at all.
Well, and sometimes it was without
It
names.
usually wasn't the person.
Yeah, but
Very
without
rarely
any
was it the
names,
person.
we know that some people are more controversial in what they say than others. And so there were times when there were people who a lot of other people didn't like, and Duane would be like, I can't go there. Sorry, man. It's just going to cost too much.
I only turned down 2 people.
That's what's going to be my next question. If you actually refuse to do an auction for anybody?
I did for 2 different people. One was a person that I knew what he sold, and it would not sell on an auction. It was incense and stuff like that. I'm like, it's not going to sell here. It's not placed. And then the other one was what Heather was saying, was a controversial figure who had done something on YouTube just recently, and not recently now, recently then, that kind of put them in a bad light. And I didn't like to not do it, but I just thought at the time it was better for all that it didn't happen. And like I said, it had nothing to do with the person themselves. It was just kind of what happened right beforehand. So.
Right. So what
That's the only thing that I never did.
You've had a lot of people, other than monetary things, but you've had a lot of people gift you things over the years that they would see.
Oh my gosh.
That's Dewayne. So what was the favorite thing you ever received from that you thought, oh my God, they know me?
I received so much Hello Kitty everything. Let's see. No,
So
I recently moved things around. I don't see the.
Let me
Hello Kitty, but yeah, the doll, that's from Mike.
Oh, very.
And I kept everything that people sent
your
me.
whole window seal and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, my window seal. I'm seeing if there's anything that I can just grab. But in fact, who was it that sent the rings?
Lori.
And and whenever someone would send us stuff, we would always try to do our best to thank them on the next show. I always thought, if I was really organized, I would have sent everyone each a little note back. But it wasn't just the stuff. Sometimes we would get an email or message or a card of just such thoughtful things. And I kept every card that we got.
Nice.
But yeah, there was something about what I was going through when she sent the rings. And, it was just so heartfelt that it just meant a great deal to me. And I'm like, no, we keep it off. We keep all the gifts. Because she was like, go ahead, sell if you don't want it. I'm like, of course I'm keeping it. But, funny things, thoughtful things. It was cool. And we're like, oh my gosh. I got jewelry, besides the rings. So in my closet, I have a bunch of stuff. I got several dolls. And it was
like a Hello Kitty water fountain.
It's right here. Yeah, it's right here by me. That was from Carol.
Oh, you can't mention that you like something because then everybody sends it to you, and it's that I feel bad that everybody's sending me all this stuff, and it's like I got to be careful not to say I really like something because people are sending me, they spend their hard-earned money on this stuff and they're sending it to me. So Dewayne, what was yours? What was your favorite, unique or unusual piece?
Okay, that clock right there. Actually, I think it does it. Oh, it's not plugged in at this time. Anyway, that clock is from Mike, Rolling Picker, and it's a Fireball clock. And at the time, I had a thing for Fireball. For most people know that. So that he wanted, I think it was John, the Cincinnati Picker, had it up for auction, and he won it and sent it to me. And it, like you said, he just kind of knew that would be for me. But like Heather says, it's hard to pinpoint specific things because people send you all kinds of things, that are cool. Like you said, if you say it's cool on the show, you watch the mail because you may end up with it.
John was one who did that. You'd say something was cool, and then pretty soon I would be getting something from her that was similar to it. She said,
very
a
much,
super cute lamp. But
so, we got a lot of and like you said, it's more about the emotion than the value of all that stuff. It was all
yes,
and there was just so much that is so nice.
Well, and then too, after a while, it got to where people were buying things and then would get a hold of us every week. Mike was sending something to somebody different, and so he'd send me a text and tell me who it was for. We had a lot of people doing that. It was, so not just to us, but for each other, and that was a lot of fun.
We see that a lot still.
But I think at one time somebody asked me, Duane, what do you collect? And I refused to answer. I would end up with so much that I would know.
And he's not a huge collector to begin with.
I should start a rumor that he loves jewelry. Send him some jewelry.
Yes, he loves jewelry.
So, no exaggeration. I would have to go through. I am close to 100 in plush alone of Hello Kitty.
Oh my God!
I think you're over 100.
And my daughter says that one day I'm going to get buried under all my Hello Kitties.
You have to build an addition onto the house.
You've got a whole closet that's just those.
Yeah, I do. Yep, my closet in here. It's packed full of Hello Kitties. And I only bought a couple of them. The kids and Duane would buy them for me too, but so many. But I think this one's from Duane, sitting right here.
I have a few questions for the two of you.
So I'm seeing a lot of new faces in. Thank you guys for coming to support Duane. And is there any more questions about MSP? If not, we're going to shift gears to what they are doing right now.
All right, I'm out.
I can.
Good to see you, Sandy. It's been a while.
See you, Sandy.
Sleep good, honey.
Bye-bye.
And I'm going to ask Ro and Trixie, do you have any questions you want to ask them about MSP?
No, hon, I'm good. I'm just having a ball.
Anything you want to ask about
good to see them.
Not about MSP, no.
Okay.
We're open for anything.
All right, so we'll shift gears, but before we do, is Robert in the chat, because I'm going to put Robert Jones on the hot seat. So Robert had a question earlier, and his question was for Duane, and he wanted to know how Duane gets such a hot chick like Heather. I don't think that was in the exact words, but
I don't know. I don't know what it
that
was.
The effect. How did he
lined up?
There must have been something that you did, honey, right?
Ask her then. Don't ask me. Ask her.
We were talking about it just the other night, though, before we went, looked at the questions or knew, not in pertaining to this. We lived in the same town, but he had gone into the Marines, and then my mom and I moved into his parents' neighborhoods. And so I had heard about who he was, but I was 17 at the time.
You a super chat.
Nice.
And,
Thank you.
And we still didn't meet till I was 23. But like I said, we had gone to high school with some of the same kids, knew some of the same kids from the neighborhood. But I think huge part of it was we were both in a moment of our lives. He had just gotten out of the military, and his plan A had fallen apart, so he was trying to put together plan B. Or he wouldn't have even been in Utah had plan A worked out. And
up the social ladder, Miss Heather.
and then for me, I was getting divorced, only 23, but getting divorced. And so we were both at a very crucial moment, mid-20s, trying to find our path. And so I think that it was a big part of it, as far as just we just figured out that path together. And but then another thing is Duane just treated me well. So
That's it. That is it. All right there.
The
Yep.
first year, she didn't even know what was going on. I just kept her drunk, and took advantage of it.
Did she like jewelry? Did she like jewelry, Duane?
She does not like jewelry.
no, I do have, look, the bracelet. I've got that on.
Oh, that's
You
great.
got a slave bracelet, honey?
It looks like a little XO bracelet. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
I think you got it. We got that from Sandy.
Yep, you got that from Sandy.
Beautiful piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she doesn't
So,
like jewelry, thank goodness, because I would be very broke.
It's not even that I don't dislike it at all. It's just something I don't give thought to. So
It's
Other
not
things.
yeah.
other things are more important. I certainly understand
You
that.
know, if he will clean up the garage, I count that as foreplay. So
Exactly. Like my first anniversary, my husband bought me it's an appliance of some kind. I think it was I want to say slow cooker or something
I
like
bet
that.
you he was in
I don't
trouble.
remember. It was some sort of kitchen. Oh, it was like a Cuisinart kind of thing.
oh,
I was bummed. I was bummed.
Yeah, for your first
I wanted
anniversary, that's
jewelry.
not what you
I
want.
wanted jewelry or something sexy.
Yes,
That's,
maybe some lingerie or something.
but guess what I asked for now? Now I want a set of tires or something.
yeah.
I want to put your boots on.
Yeah,
That
Duane,
has changed quite a bit. Now I want tires or I want that blender now. So,
Duane knows that if he gets me flowers, don't get roses because those are just too much money.
yeah.
Mhm.
Something with purple in it, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me
Robin
one
says
flower.
Plan D.
and
Yeah.
Duane's girlfriend was no longer available when he got back from Okinawa.
I'm so
Well,
sorry,
I
Mr.
actually-
Duane.
I went to
not.
Okinawa and I
moved
came back
up.
6 months. I
It's okay,
did 6
Duane. She
months
probably
and then
liked
came back on
jewelry.
leave for a week. And she was pregnant, and the math just didn't quite add up. So that was about the end of that.
Yeah, my husband's in Navy, and that was a common occurrence when the ship pulled back in. That wait a minute, how are you 4 months pregnant when this ship left 6 months ago? What's going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, that was
Exactly.
We actually know someone who's a product of that.
we know quite a few.
I would give my daughter the arse whooping of her life.
Yeah,
Something like that.
so I hope you miss us as much as we do you.
I was
we
wanting
do.
to know if they miss everybody.
So I'll ask you real quick before I switch to your storage spaces. Any chance of you ever resuming auctions? And would you ever be a seller or a guest auctioneer on Steals and Deals?
Okay, so the first one, probably not. We did it. We had a great time. I think it would kind of take away from that if we started doing it again.
Right.
I would definitely sell if I had something to sell, and I would definitely come on as a guest auctioneer sometime. That would be fun.
Okay.
I was just going to say, you would be a consultant at that time, and you could charge for your services, honey.
Sure. I'll
Correct.
charge to everybody else.
Oh,
Yes.
let's check. So
That's what I'm talking about.
we will call on you soon to host to guest auctioneer for us. So are you still doing your storage spaces?
We are. I am. Whatever you want to say. But not as much right now. I bought one here not too long ago. It was basically a bust. I bought it for $50, and I think I ended up finding a gift card that had $57 on it, so I made my money back on that. But I also lost out on the $20 of all the taking it to the dump. So, and I'm doing other things, and my garage isn't really available for all the storage right now because that, when you bring it home, it has to go somewhere until you sort through it and stuff. So I am doing it, but on a limited basis.
Okay. Do you ever film any of that, or would you film some of that and show us, like take us with you when you
the last one
Yes,
I bought,
like the other Hales do.
Yeah, right. The last one that we bought, we did do that.
Did you
post
it?
$50. Huh?
Did you post that video?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay.
did it live. Yeah, we did it live.
Was it about a month ago, maybe?
All righty. I missed
I'm gonna
that.
have to
Somebody
go
had
look for
actually
that.
asked us to do that. They said, you were one of the only people that when they do the storage units, you show it as it is. You go in there and it's garbage and it's just garbage, or if you find something great, you show that too. So we were kind of asked if we, do you still do that? And I'm like, oh yeah, well, I can do that again. So I did. So yeah, it was about a month ago, maybe not even that long ago. I don't know.
Oh,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
go check that out. We'll get a post in here
see,
for Dewayne's channel
Middle
too.
of June. So about a month ago.
So any other questions? Capitalize your questions if you have any more questions in the chat. And I got a couple of more, and then we won't keep you forever. But what is the best item you've ever found in a storage space? Like the most valuable thing you've found, and were you able to sell it, or are you keeping it?
In a storage unit, one that and we talked a little bit about this. I bought quite a few over the years, so it's kind of hard to remember the best. But the one that I remember the closest to was a couple months ago. I bought one. It was just after, I think it was about March, and I did not film that one. But in it was there was a bunch of stuff that was mediocre, but there were these two things that I had no idea what they were, and I did some research. And what they were is you put your feet in them and you moved your feet back and forth like this, and they were paddles, and they were for kayaks, and they sold for $300 a piece. And they were used and kind of rusty, but I guess it was something something that was hard to find or something. But they sold for
$600 shipped.
What did you just say?
Yeah, $600 shipped.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know that is not what it sounds like.
Oh yeah.
That is so not what it sounded like.
Miss Trixie does not swear.
So we found a lot of strange things in units.
Yeah, that's what was going to be my next question. What was the weirdest, scariest thing that you ever
Well,
found?
I still have a guy in my garage.
What were they into?
Yeah, we got a dead guy.
Still have a dead guy in the garage.
I
Oh
tried to
my
give him
God.
You
if
did
anybody would
really?
like him
You
No,
really
they-
found a dead guy in the garage?
cremated. But
They're
yes.
cremated.
Yeah, we
Thank
found we
Oh.
Not found one. We found
Yeah.
5. Everybody seems to put their dead in their relatives in their garage.
and the rest he was able to take to the office, but this one place didn't have an office to take it to, and so we still have what is his
Yeah.
name? I
I
can't
don't
remember his name.
He's in our garage.
You
On
got
top of
Elmer in your
he-
garage?
He's on
Yeah,
top of the air fridge.
Well, the idea was that once I
Well, it
went
sounds
hiking,
strange,
the mountain-
but I have always wanted an urn of ashes on my mantelpiece. Now, I don't have a mantelpiece, okay? But I have always wanted an urn full of ashes on my mantelpiece.
Well,
All right, next time I find one, I'll
you
send
can
it to
put me
you.
on your mantle, okay?
I'll send you the next one we find because it's
I will
happened.
build a mantle.
We found a couple that are about this size, and then we found one that was this size. And the box that we have now is not an urn; it's like right from the crematorium. It's a cardboard box, and you open it up, and there's a bag of ashes.
Yeah, I've actually heard that fairly common, like watching these storage
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. And I, to
remain.
me, that's disrespectful. I mean, why would they leave grandma in the storage unit and then lose it? You know?
How about a Lipton tea bottle? Some girl found a Lipton tea bottle and it had the crematory tied down inside of it with the ashes. She thought she was playing with sand.
That's somebody keep the spring for that wooden box as well.
Yes, yes.
I'll be right back. 1 second.
Oh goodness! We have our top 5 that what Carla had.
Give us your
very
top
nice.
5. There you go. Tell us your top 5.
Well, it was so funny because Carla has suggested that we do bingo, storage unit bingo, which I thought was just a great idea. So, okay. Religious. So you got your religious stuff. And since we're in Utah, then there's prominent religious stuff. I think my top 5 has actually grown over the years. You got your kids and baby supply, toy, clothing. And you have your Christmas stuff. Oh, jail mail. So anything, whether it's sending, receiving jail stuff with attorneys, stuff with parole officers, that all under jail mail. That is often in there. And then drug paraphernalia. Very common for drug paraphernalia. You know, a lot of pipes and dried out old weed. And then and then there's always the porn. And so we'll just say porn / toys. That there is often either porn and or romance enhancement products.
Like this.
So that's 6, and then the bonus, the ashes. So yeah, it's like I said, it's grown. It's not just the top. It's the top 7 now.
Oh wow!
You and Miss Trixie are going to have to talk about.
We have that. One day we are going to need that for a gag gift. So we've held on to the pleather bikini.
Oh, that's funny.
My goodness, Dewayne.
What do you mean? It's not like I wore it.
Shocked me and left me speechless, and that is hard to do.
The storage unit bingo. There's always porn of some sort, porn or marital aids. Like Heather said, there's always something Christmassy. Jail mail.
You don't know where that's been.
I can guess.
That would be a pretty good guess.
Not really something you want to think about.
Called Lysol, Dewayne. Hit it with the
Lysol. How about Clorox?
We don't keep things like that unless we've cleaned them. So
have a bond.
And we never use them for personal use. It's usually going to be a gag gift.
Yeah.
Somebody will get that in the mail someday.
Yeah.
You ladies just be nice to me.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you have my address, Dewayne?
You know,
please don't send it to me.
Was it my daughter was going through my my dresser in the craft room, and this item is still packaged. You know, it's all sealed up, never been used, and so it's waiting for a gag gift opportunity. But my daughter, she's going through my dresser looking for, I keep craft supplies in it. And then she opens up the bottom drawer. I'd forgotten what's in there. My daughter's an adult, but still, she's like, I'm like, one day. And so then she'll probably end up having a gag gift opportunity before I will, because she's young. But that was a really funny moment, and she was like, "Only you, Mom."
Don't give me that now, Mr. Doug. Secrets out. Secrets out.
Doug says he has one just like it.
All right.
And then he said, "Just kidding." Secrets out.
Sure.
All righty. So, what are your plans for the next year? What is your next step? What do y'all think you'll be doing?
Well, I've been flipping motorcycles. I've bought, I don't know how many I've bought. I think we have 6 motorcycles in the garage right now.
So that's what your garage is full of. Then that's what I was.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're still married?
Yeah. No. Hey, they're making money. So it's
That's that Miss Trixie could ride around on.
I enjoy fixing them. I've always enjoyed working on cars and stuff, but motorcycles are a lot easier to work on. And
my brother
I
loves
did not
it.
picture you as a mechanic.
No,
You're not.
He grew up
No.
being a mechanic.
Yeah,
He's
It's
very
good.
good.
As a computer nerd.
He's technical, so that kind of plays hand in hand there. That he would be mechanical.
I
too.
guess it does. I guess
Yeah.
it does. I just never thought of him as being a car mechanic. A
Oh, yeah.
computer mechanic, yes.
How old were you when you rebuilt your first motor? 14?
12.
Wow.
Wow.
I was rebuilding 350 Chevys when I was 12 years old. My dad owns an automotive machine shop, so.
So not only is he technical and mechanical, but he's a savant there at 12. Nice.
And you're so darn cute.
So I do have a bunch of motorcycles right now, and I've flipped a couple, and I'm just enjoying doing that. I am still reselling, but my eBay and stuff has kind of slid back a little bit because I'm not spending the time it needs to work. And that's
why you need to have an auction, honey.
Yeah, but I don't have anything that will sell good. Unless you want a bikini made out of leather.
It's a real leather bikini.
Let's see it.
No, this one's actual leather, dear.
Hey, Trixie likes leather, okay?
It's even real.
I just showed it to you.
Yeah,
I just showed it to you.
that was really that was expensive.
I bet it was. Yeah, I bet it actually was. That kind of stuff is expensive. So
yes, those stores make lots of money.
It's a novelty thing, and those kind of stores are not cheap. So I imagine anything made out of leather is going to be expensive.
Absolutely.
So what's your favorite kind of motorcycle to work on?
You know what? I'm not real picky. I don't have any Harleys because they're kind of pricey. HD doesn't stand for Harley Davidson; it stands for $100. So everything's $100. But I have, let's see, how many? I've got 3 Suzukis right now. There's a Kawasaki in my garage, and I just bought 2 Hondas. So it's I don't know. I've just got a lot of stuff going on. I can't really pick one that when you really break it down, all motors are basically the same. Internal combustion motors are all the same. Different places, different companies do things just a little differently, but they're really basically the same.
So go get this. Says you have a new outfit for your motorcycle riding.
Oh my goodness!
Actually, no, I was thinking Heather was going to wear it on the back.
Isn't that
what they do at Sturgis, right?
Yeah, that would fit around my thigh.
Perlene is looking for a carburetor for a 305 7 Chevy.
There's a job.
Okay, so do you need a Quadrajet or is it a Holly, or is it Carter? What brand of carburetor are you looking for, Lynn? You got to give more information if you're going to throw it out like that.
Yeah, give him the info. Maybe he can help you out there.
Hey, let her write it all down.
So you and Heather do ride?
Heather has ridden a couple of times. It's not one of her favorite things because the helmet smashes her head. She's not real. She has anything that presses on her head, even glasses, gives her a pretty bad headache.
Claustrophobic.
So she doesn't like wearing glasses or helmets or anything like that. But she has ridden a couple of times with me. She doesn't ride herself.
Back. Yeah, on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the most adventurous I would get, would be on the back.
When I was a kid, my dad had a motorcycle, and I would ride with him. So that's when I, first rode on a bike.
Yeah. My dad never let us on them because we had a man down the street who lost his arm in a motorcycle accident, and that always scared my father. He wouldn't let us on them after that. He was always trying to give us rides, and my dad would not let us go.
Yeah.
We grew up with little mini bikes.
It looks like Perlene's going to go check for you. She said, hang on. So now to get a little more serious. So, Heather, how are you doing? I mean, it's well known in the community. You've talked about it publicly, and I think we even interviewed you on the subject once. But how are you doing with your bipolar, and how has this epidemic that's going on affected that? Has it caused you any major anxiety, or are you dealing well with it, or what's going on with you there?
One thing that was kind of helpful with the, everybody being in crisis is I've done 2 whatever appointments with my prescribing nurse, and the insurance covered them. Those are usually $100 out of pocket, so that was nice. But I would trade that for the world not to be in the spot it's in right now. It's always, something I'm trying to manage. In the past 6 months, I've changed up medication a couple of times.
You can pick it off of me. She's talking. Unless you're looking at yourself.
Sorry. I was watching her face down there, and it just dawned on me when you said that I needed to enlarge her. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's always managing it. It never ends, And I remember when Rebecca, when she had asked me, she's like, so you take medication and everything's fine? And I'm like, no. But I think people appreciated my honesty. Things are, life is fine because we make it fine. But and then as far as the pandemic goes, I don't really get out much because it's people-y. Well, it used to be people-y out there. So it personally didn't change my life a whole lot. At first, of course, I had my great concerns for everyone. That I think that was just it felt around the world. Concern for a fellow man, and but I never felt like my anxiety. It was heightened for a little while, but it was never out of control due to that. Yeah, our lives haven't been directly affected. We know some people who've been sick, but not terribly sick, so that always feels like a blessing. Our kids' employment, that things have been rough. Our daughter, she got laid off. She worked for the same company that our son and her boyfriend worked for. And so her boyfriend and our son have both been furloughed and have worked here and there. Who knows what the future holds? Same with anybody else who's been furloughed. They're in the convention business. But then for Dewayne, he got furloughed for 2 weeks, and we just worked on household projects. Yep. And we had a closet that needed to. The people before us had never finished the closet, and so we finally got that done. We got a new dishwasher. We're saving up to get new kitchen floor because when the dishwasher went out, it took the kitchen floor with it.
Yeah, that's my story too. Yep.
And it's never cheap. So, my thing that I do, just I guess for in my heart to show, every few days I'll just see what's going on as far as numbers go. And hope for the best, of course. Kind of a strange, ironic thing for me, though, was I had been reading about the top ways of the end of the world, and this was a year ago, and it said that the top of the list was a pandemic and that we were due for a big one. And so then when it happened, I'm like, whoa, that's too weird.
Same here. Those thoughts went through my mind too, and still kind of do,
So anyone who didn't know that a pandemic was coming had not been keeping up on their current events or predicted events.
Exactly.
History repeats itself.
Yeah. Well, and the reason she was looking up pandemic stuff is because Heather is writing books. So she's writing stories.
That's cool.
Congratulations, honey.
I've even finished a couple. What was that?
Are we going to get to read them?
They're trashy.
I love to read it. I
have trashy characters running around in my head. So
Miss Heather, you and I will get along just fine. Maybe I can give you some ideas for your next book, honey.
Okay.
Miss Trixie Monroe tells all. So
yes, she does.
You had talked about that before, I think, when we were interviewing you, that you like to write. So have you published or tried to publish anything yet?
I actually have a story. I totally stole the idea, but change it up enough. Not going to make any money off of it, but post it on a website, where amateur people put their. I found one I think will be the right.
Yes, my daughter does the same thing.
And
you and my daughter can talk. She does the same thing. She writes books as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. I like to keep stories, I don't know, word-wise, but 50 pages or less. And because then you can write it pretty quickly if the ideas are coming. And editing is much faster. And plus...
she does chapters and chapters. And she likes the supernatural stuff.
Okay, so yeah, I do have a couple of stories, supernatural, different characters, same universe. Because my first love is sci-fi, but as it turns out, my imagination is not great enough to, sci-fi can be so detailed.
So you and her need to talk because she has an awesome imagination and it's her specialty as well. You two really need to talk, honey.
I that's awesome. I would love to talk to her. And so then my second love is supernatural. And so then I have supernatural characters, no vampires. Vampires are so overdone. So I didn't go there.
Oh, great.
But I also enjoy doing research. That's what my sister, she said that I more just simply enjoy the process of it. But if I ever get to where I start obsessing, I have to just stop because then I'm just spinning wheels and not getting anything done. And one thing though, when you do what call it a fan fiction, when you come upon a story that's complete crap and I could fix that. And when you're borrowing someone else's characters, you don't have the emotional investment in them like you do in the characters that your mind creates. And so it's easier to put them in situations. So because you want to protect your characters when you create them, and it's like, well, that's boring. So nobody wants to read about someone who's functional.
Exactly. That would be a boring story, it surely would. I agree with you.
Yeah. You want to know people are crazy all over the place.
So it says, I love paranormal romance. So do you find it therapeutic?
To write?
Yes.
And in many ways, I do. Let's see, something that my sister, she went to school to be a journalist. She's not currently writing, but she's thought about getting back into it.
And boring if they were functional.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're going to do a grammar course together, and because got to always keep improving. And, I've got Grammarly, the program on my Google Doc, but my spelling, I can stump spell check. My spelling is atrocious.
I've done that before too, so I understand that one. I can stump spell check.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, just learning new things, learning how to write. I've read, gone to many websites about how to write. I have books. One book my son got me, and I was like, I don't understand it. And so my sister took a look at one she's up in Alaska, so she checked the book out of the library up there, and she's like, so that's a college course? This guy is really, really in-depth and intelligent. I'm like, I'm going to work my way to that book. I'm like, I need step 1.
Oh, sorry, my camera's acting crazy there. It's flipping around on its own.
It's got a mind of its own. But so
I don't know this. I just have 2 McMuffin.
And then too, when you have characters running around in your head, being able to kind of take them out, put them into a situation, and then you can move on to other characters, and it just helps the imagination go. I am much more imaginative when I'm not medicated.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that was a problem. We've got an echo somewhere. Is that you, Trixie?
I'm not
know. Is it?
I'm not hearing an echo, Duane.
I am. I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Huh.
It only started
I
when
am not hearing an echo, but I'm quiet.
it happens when you talk, and it started when you came back in. So check and make sure you don't have a second window open. I'm not hearing it now though. So do you ever put your family members in any of your, do they ever like work their way in there in your subconscious?
Oh, I'm sure they do. And I have a friend who died 5.5 years ago, and I find that he shows up in a lot of my male characters.
Cool. So give us an example of like what type, like you say you're writing a paranormal. So what type of paranormal would you?
Oh, so just supernatural. I've given that to a little paranormal. I've yet to be really, greatly inspired, although I do like paranormal. But shapeshifters, I I guess kind of a traditionalist, because I didn't go with werewolf because I think that if you're going to do werewolf, you should respect the lore. Same with vampires, and we won't talk about books that don't. And Harry Potter is one of my all-time favorite book serials. Just a wonderful adventure. But yeah, mainly it's been about their shapeshifters and trying to figure out, kind of always trying to manage their beast within, as well as just their lives. I just do modern day life, but a different universe.
I think that's probably the thing that would scare me the most paranormally too, is running into a shapeshifter. I think that would be more frightening than a vampire or a werewolf. So I'd definitely read that one.
So yeah, I've written about that. Mine, they have this specific that they shift into. My youngest son and I have talked about doing different kinds of shapeshifters, or ones that, oh man, he is, if I'm thinking of a character, I'll go to him, because if he doesn't know it, he researches faster than I do. And because he loves D&D and all kinds of, and video games that he plays, and he's on the spectrum, so his imagination is always been huge.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll talk to him too about a certain kind of character, because cultures from the beginning of time have always had their supernatural, their lore, that their back, people used to believe in forest dwelling fairies, and when they couldn't explain something.
Still do in some parts of the world.
Yeah. And but yeah, Jeremy is my guy that, I'll go to him with a story idea, and he can just rip it apart and how it won't work. And I'm like, fine, I'll be back.
That's nice, like your editor almost. So where do you do research for that other than your son? Where would you go to research something paranormal?
Google and go down the rabbit hole. You can go deep down there's a lot of Scandinavian preachers. They're just all over throughout different cultures. So and like if I do something, there's all these alternate names, things have evolved through history, and once again, don't want to disrespect whatever, just personal rule of mine. So but no, I learned about skinwalkers, and there is Skinwalker Ranch. Where is it?
I've actually heard that before.
Out in the desert.
Yeah, isn't it like in the Arizona or Nevada desert, somewhere out there in that area?
Yeah, I think it's more central Utah.
It's actually, I believe it's eastern Utah, like Vernal area out there, kind of by the Dinosaur National Monuments and stuff.
Is that where it is? Yeah. So, and of course, the Navajo, they have their skinwalkers. And again, I would never want to misappropriate something such as that. So I'll typically just go with a generic name, and then of course distort at will. So
that sounds like a lot of fun. I wish I could write. I am not good at writing at all. So before we close, I'll ask for any more questions in the chat that you have for Duane and Heather. Type them in capital letters. If I
why don't you book here? You can ask us anything.
Yep, anything you want to know. And is there anything you all want to say before you get off, Duane? Anything you want? Let me put everybody up. And is there anything we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think one of the things that me and Heather wanted to make sure that everybody out there knows that we really appreciated, being in doing the auctions and having, we had such a great time doing them, and just that we appreciate, because without other people, the auctions would have went nowhere. It was all about the group of people that were doing the auctions, and that were, bidding and coming in and watching. And I mean, it was a group effort, and we just happened to be driving the boat at the time. But we wanted to make sure everybody knew how much we really did appreciate all the support over the time that we did do that.
Absolutely. Once there are a few instances where things were not ideal, but that was so few in comparison with all the positive.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, and even so far with ours and Steals and Deals, the good moments very far outweighed the bad. So, and I think we've got our one auction out of the way where we struggled with camera and lighting and getting on and staying on, and so we've gotten through that. So I hope that was our one, and we're smooth sailing going forward. We did actually learn a lot in these hours, and so what advice do you have for us going forward? Is there anything we're doing that you would do different, or any advice that you have that could be helpful for us?
It's hard.
Be descriptive. We're okay with it.
Oh, I know. I'm just trying to think. Okay, so I know that your guys the majority of your stuff is jewelry. And I feel that if you're going to make this a much bigger and broader thing, you're going to have to expand out a little bit, because there's a lot of jewelry auctions, smaller, not out there.
Yeah.
But if you can get into the more off the wall stuff, the stuff that other people like to see, and I'm not saying you're not doing that, just expanding out into other avenues, getting with people that can always find stuff. We didn't even talk about, we had a list of people, there was 3 or 4 of them, that if we were in a bind, those were the people we called. And Poplar Picker, Nikki, just showed up.
Oh, yes. Nikki, we just loved having Nikki.
Yeah, because, you know, you'd call her up at 4 and your show's at 7 and say, hey, Nikki, do you want to do an auction tonight? And she'd pull out 10 things, you know, out of her garage and be ready to go. You know, I mean, it was great.
Yeah, he's
John
fun.
Was that way. John Johnson was that way. You know, there's just a couple of people you can always go to and that have just cool stuff. You know, again, the most important thing is to have fun and to learn and to interact with the people, because it is all about the people, honestly.
Yeah, it definitely is. And that's something we really want to do. And we're trying to move in that direction. We're trying to get more resellers in that have things to offer other than jewelry. And we also need to get in buyers for other things too, because
and that's it. Just
once we pull in more resellers, we will get more buyers. But even so far, our resellers have done pretty well and have been satisfied with what they've made. So we are always on the lookout for resellers. So if there is anyone in the chat now listening that would like to have a Steals and Deals auction and help us get our auction going, you know, email us, and I'll put that email in the description.
Nikki, Nikki says she's going to be cleaning stuff out, so I won't have a big stockpile like before. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So if she's cleaning stuff out, that means she's got to have somewhere for it to go. So get with her. Maybe she'll want to do one.
Yeah, if you'd like to do one, Popular Picker, we would love to have you.
And I think another thing to help grow, you have to break into different cliques. You know, you have the jewelry community and everybody in that, but that's a small. If you can get out to, you know, further out, different people. That's the thing. If you get somebody that has like 10,000 subs and comes on and to have them say, "Hey, I'm going to be on this," you know, that's how you get people. And,
that's what I was going to ask.
We were lucky that way.
How we should go about that, because we are trying to do that. So we're just stumped as to how to get those sellers to come on. So,
one of the things one of the things you can do is go look at our you know, our past videos, our past auctions.
Oh, good idea.
And get a hold of some of those people, because, you know, some of those people, they probably have plenty of stuff out there. And just say, hey, you know, we're doing this auction thing. Come watch us. If you're interested, come on, you know. But if you want to go back and look at our auctions, a lot of those people, I'm sure would be, you know, more than happy.
I'm putting in our email right now. So if there is anyone in right now that would be interested, just send us an email. And I am also going to go do that. I'm going to go look at some of your videos. That's a really good idea. I never even thought to do that, but thank you for that thought.
Sure.
But yeah, we do want to move in that direction to where we have all of the communities involved, where we can still, you know, have the jewelry for the jewelry people, but we want to bring in other things and other buyers, and we kind of want to move it in the same direction you guys went in, just so that we have a variety of people come in, and it's just fun when you have that variety of
absolutely.
People
that was one of the best things is seeing what other people would bring. You know,
exactly.
And you know, and invariably, if once you get a decent number of people in there, somebody's going to know something about that. You know, if you put up a trucker cap, somebody may be a super trucker cap reseller, and they, you know, oh yeah, I know about that one. That's, you know, and that's where you start learning, and everybody in the chat learns. And
that's kind of what
there were several people that would come to our auctions and never bid on anything, but they would just come for the social aspect.
Yeah, we're good with that too. We like those people to come in because they're part of it. I mean, they keep everybody talking and together. So yeah, that's
some of them are very nice.
Yeah, like I said, I don't care whether you buy or not when you come in my auction. I just want you to come in and have fun, even on my own personal auctions. As long as you're having fun, then you know my purpose is being served. So we do want to move in that direction, though. Are we buffering, Vicki? Or you're buffering?
I'm not seen any buffering.
Yeah.
No, I've been buffering really bad. I think we've got some storms about to roll in.
Yeah,
Well,
that
it could be that 150-degree temperature outside burning up the wires.
Yes.
Everything's
Yes,
melting.
it was 112 today.
No, that's bad. Oof.
My sister's in St. George. I got one up in Alaska who will talk about winters, and then one in St. George talking about summers. You know, as the seasons are going by, and with their and it makes northern Utah seem moderate.
For sure.
Yes. Normal.
I think we're kind of somewhere in the middle here in Virginia. Because I'm in Virginia Beach, I'm right, like very close to the water, so we get that
cool.
but we also get that breeze coming in off of the ocean that saves it a little bit, but then you can have that really humid thing going on too. So, and then it rains a lot here. That's the thing about coastal areas, other than poor people in California who barely get rain, but here it like rains like a lot.
It never rains here. It rains 5 times a year.
Maybe
for a total of an hour.
Yeah.
I probably.
But it was 99 degrees today, so.
Wow, I would probably miss it because I'm so used to it. If it stopped, you know, if I went back to the West Coast again, where it never rained, hardly ever. But it does get old sometimes because you barely go. I think I could probably remember it in the time that I've been living here, maybe 2 weeks where there was no rain, and that's summer, any time of year. Barely go a couple of weeks without rain.
Well, and then when it does rain here, it can be dangerous out on the roads because then, you know, the oil is coming up and people start sliding and.
Yep,
and we don't know. It only rains 5 times a year, so nobody knows how to drive in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's that.
Well,
we can drive in snowstorms, though.
Yeah, they don't know how to drive in snow here. But you would think as much as it rains, they would be a little more skilled at it here, but they're not.
No, we get some. We've had some pretty good freeway pileups over the year.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like there's always like the first one of the year, the first big storm, and there's accidents all over, and absolutely.
We didn't get any snow this winter, and usually we do get some snow, but none this winter at all. So I'm guessing it's going to be a miserable summer. It's going to be really hot this summer.
Well, then Utah, we go from having snow to being on fire. Not like California, but we do end up with fires by the end of the summer.
Yeah, August is our fire month.
Yep.
Usually the state of Utah's on fire somewhere in August. Always.
Yeah. There's always one somewhere.
But we get about a week and a half of spring. It goes from bitter cold, the week and a half, and then it's 90. and then it's 90 until fall.
So yeah, that's kind of how it is here all the way up until like July. You don't know, one day it's kind of cold and then the next day you're burning up. But I think right now we're about to enter our hottest part of the year. In the next couple of weeks, it's going to be like sweltering heat here. So that rain is always nice to cool it off. But it does rain quite a bit here. I feel soggy half the time. So.
Well, ladies, I need to get going because I have another video that I'm going to be on in 8 minutes.
Okay, I'll let you go. I will say good night, actually, to both of you. I appreciate you so much coming on. Didn't mean to keep you so long. So
you're fine. It's great to catch up.
Yeah,
sure.
We love you. We love you, and we miss you.
And I will get with you about hosting still. So thank you, guys.
Yes.
And anybody, I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still everywhere. So I'm usually in people's comments in their chats making inappropriate comments. So
yes, I see you in Miss Darlene's chat every morning.
And we love your.
Well, that's because I was on in the morning when I'm going to work. So.
All right, Dewayne, you can go ahead and slide out if you want. I'm just going to update people. You don't have to stay around. I'm just going to update people as to my rest of my schedule this weekend. So I appreciate your coming, you too, Heather. And hopefully we'll have you back, and we will keep tabs for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes. Love you too.
And I'm going to
We
go
love
do
you,
some
ladies.
watching on your channel and get to know some of those resellers, because that's good way to do it. Appreciate you.
Yep. All right, guys, ladies, have a good day. See ya.
Thank
Bye.
you. All righty. So the rest of you, tomorrow is Roberta and I are having our auction tomorrow, and we are starting at probably 5:30 Central Standard Time, which is I think 6:30 on the East Coast, and maybe 3:30 on the West. But no, 5:30 Central Standard Time. Yes, we're starting 5:30 Central Standard Time, and that'll be Roberta and I. And if you are new to the channel, we sell mostly sterling silver, and we do sell some costume, but it's mostly sterling silver. And again, I'd like to ask any of you resellers that are in there to please message us and let us know if you are interested in coming on Steals and Deals and having an auction with us. We really appreciate all of you that have, and we are looking for some new people. So I thank you for that. And Heather, anything you want to close out in saying?
I just hope everyone is healthy and, staying safe, and wish them good health through all of this. And we're in the middle of something that no one alive has experienced before on this level. So
Yep.
Exactly.
uncertain times, but we'll find our way through it.
Yeah,
Yes, we will.
exactly. We just gonna have to work together to get through it, because like you said, this is history. We are making history right now. This is all new for all of us.
And it's really exaggerating the problems that our society has, and pointing out things that we really need to get on top of.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
sure.
Yes, it is. So thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We had a pretty good crowd in for most of the night, and I appreciate it. And for all of you watching it later, thank you for watching. And don't forget to sub and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And please leave a comment. And we will have Duane and Heather on again at some point, and definitely watch for Duane to host an episode of Steals and Deals with us, and Heather too. We'd love to have them both. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night, 5:30 Central Standard. Night all.
Thank you, everybody. Be blessed.
Yes, please. Remember, life is short and fleeting, so drive it like you stole it. Night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
All righty. We are